Hey everyone, Charting Man Dan from ChartGuys.com. You know, behind every single video that we put out every single day, there's a wonderful community of traders that we want to invite you to be a part of. Try the free 7-day trial and gain access to our live market broadcasts every morning and afternoon, interact with hundreds of like-minded traders, or take part in one of our dedicated chat rooms, each led by an analyst that's there to answer your questions in real time. Our trial is risk-free with absolutely no commitment or credit card required to experience the TCG community. For those looking for a head start in technical analysis, check out our entries and exits course in the link below in the description. Get up to speed with the fundamentals of TCG technical analysis and experience over 5 hours of great community-driven trading education. Hello MJ friends, checking in on the sector here. Weed, APH, ACB, EMC, Fire, and HMMJ. Again, I'm scouting longer term entries. My main targets are going to be WEED, APH, and HMMJ. I do like that there is some U.S. exposure in HMMJ. It's about 2/3 Canadian, 1/3 U.S. And I like that exposure because the USMJ market is extremely cyclical and it keeps coming back in the fall. Fall and winter are the USMJ sector's time to shine. And I've been playing this in the fall for the past 7 years. It's really been my bread and butter. So knowing that that consistently seasonal event comes, it definitely makes things a bit more easy. So I am anticipating the Canadian MJ sector to have a similar cyclical event. It's too soon in its history to have that history, but if you look back at the monthly chart of any USMJ ticker name that's been around for 7 years, looking at MJNA or CBIS, but you can see that it's the fall and the winter where we really see the upside action. So as we get closer to the end of the summer here, I guess we're just starting summer really, but when we get closer to the end of the summer, going to be paying a lot more attention to these bullish trends turning, or these trends turning to favor the bulls, and watching for that momentum to start to shift back. So although the doors aren't going to be opening for Canadian MJ for really over a year at this point, that's definitely having me hesitate. We're having a nice bounce play out right now, but in my opinion, it's too short term at this point. I'm using the weekly chart. And again, the time frame that you use on these charts should be dictated by the length of time frame of your trade. So if I'm day trading, I don't care much about the weekly chart. I'll look at it for some key levels, but it's not going to be a major factor in my analysis. And same thing, if I'm looking at, long-term year or two position, then I'm not going to be looking at the hourly chart. So right now I'm focused on the weekly chart the most because I am looking longer term and further out, and we are watching for the trend to change because the trend has been bearish for the past 6 months. But this is really a nice opportunity, and I like this space so much here because of the past 6 months of consolidation and because the bubble of hype, so to speak, did pop in the sense that WEED has pulled back 50% in 6 months, and I'm so much more comfortable buying after that consolidation than I would be on the way up on that huge run-up that we did see last year. So WEED has undergone a daily trend change, and it's coming from an oversold bounce, and really it's been textbook technical analysis in terms of the bullish action we've seen on this bounce. We had increasing bull volume on the initial move to the upside, decreasing bear volume as our higher low was set, increasing bull volume, tiny bear volume, increasing bull volume, and low bear volume. So that's exactly what the bulls want to see on a trend change, on an uptrend really. High bull volume, low bear volume, and we do have the earnings coming up. I believe they are anticipated this coming week. So that's going to be a short-term indicator on the sector as a whole. If we see bullish continuation on WEED, we will look for the sector to follow. But keep in mind that the past 2 weeks of buying, in my opinion, is in anticipation of these earnings. So some of the good news there, if there is good news, is going to be factored in and priced in already. So there is always the potential of seeing a sell the news event. And just the fact that in June we have bounced almost 15-20% does tell me that a lot of people are buying in anticipation of those earnings. So we'll see how that goes this week. We're watching the resistance level is the high we've seen of 869. Then a major level is up at 883. And in terms of support, there's a little bit of a gap here. That's at 820. And then I'm looking down at 774. So there looks like there's going to be another opportunity to enter before the earnings do occur if we do see further downside on Monday. And we're looking at support of 825 and then that gap fill. But I would anticipate a higher low to form compared to 774, and really anything above 741 at this point keeps the bulls in control. So if I were in a position, and I am not yet, I'm currently in the process of giving the cryptocurrency space one more weekend here to see if they're going to turn back on the momentum for the bulls, and if not, I will be exiting that space and moving into this space. but this support level is the one I'd be using of 741. I would have my stop loss just under that level, and if that were to break, then I would exit. Or if I were already in a nice position, I'd have my stop loss at break even. Either way, I would be cautious of a longer term position entering now, just because of the time frame left before doors open for recreational sales. So all in all, nice daily uptrend. The weekly time frame, again, is what I'm going to be watching for my longer term bullish entries, and I have a lot of people that are looking to me, a lot of people that aren't familiar with trading stocks, looking to me for some signals on when to get in. So I am being more cautious with that in mind for them. But WEED finally closed over the exponential resistances here, and that's the first time in months. So we had a big bullish reversal candlestick, not really the strongest follow through the following week, but now this next week, this previous week, is when we saw the bulls show up and get over those resistances. So from here, I would love to see consolidation and a higher low, a clear higher low compared to the long lower wick that we saw on this bottom candlestick. And that would give me confidence that we are establishing support on the way up. We do have nice little higher lows on this weekly time frame, but I would like to see a top of this bounce hit and then a clear pullback and a higher low. And maybe the earnings report will be a catalyst for that little bit of a sell-off. Again, could go either way. Not going to say that I have any indication on which way it will go, but I am being cautious with the sell the news potential of that report. So the bulls are turning things around, and we're close to getting ready here. I'm going to be watching for a bullish TCG cross, and that's when this 4-period exponential crosses the 8-period exponential to the upside. And we had our bearish cross occur, and look at how significant this bearish cross was in indicating the downtrend that was to come. We lost the middle Bollinger Band support, we had our bearish TCG cross, and then we saw 3 months of pullback all red. So we're looking for a bull cross here. We haven't had a bull cross since back when this run began, back in the end of 2016. So that will be significant in my opinion, and we'll be watching the bull MACD cross as well. Those are 2 indications for longer term trend change that I am keeping an eye on. And checking on APH, not nearly as strong on the daily time frame just yet. We can see a little resistance up here at 570, and we did not break to higher highs like WEED did. We got to 565 and consolidated. So at this point, trading sideways, waiting for the Bollinger Bands to level out and ascend and create room to the upside. But a bullish entry on 570 breaking is a potential play. And the support to hold, the must-hold support is 511. I'd be using that level as my stop loss. And the bulls, same thing with the volume here. The volume is definitely favoring the bulls and low bear volume. And right now we have support of 527 and 511, and resistance is 565, 570, and then I'm looking up at 597. The weekly chart is stronger for APH than it is for WEED, and that is because we did not break the lows of November and December. We look at WEED, and we did break those lows from the consolidation of November. So we still have some higher lows on APH with regard to those levels. We bounced off the 50-week moving average support, bullish reversal candlestick, and what we have here on the weekly is still rejecting from these exponential resistances. So that's even more of a reason not to be ready to get into APH long, but it did give us an inside bar on the weekly time frame. A break of 567 is bullish this next week, and a break of 527 is bearish. So I am scouting APH as well. Same thing with the bullish MACD and bullish TCG cross, being more patient, waiting for those to start shaping up, and not nearly as convincing as WEED currently is because of the lack of the ability to close over these exponential weekly resistances. ACB is the weakest of the 3, and it is not anywhere near breaking this tightening pattern on the daily time frame. 203 support, 232 resistance, and you can see very clearly there's a bit more drag on these bulls trying to turn things around. And the weekly time frame, not nearly as strong as we broke the higher low pattern. Bears have still been in control here, exponential resistance as well. This is why I'm not interested in ACB. The chart is so much weaker than these other 2, and there is some dilution to be concerned about, and maybe that's the reason that we are seeing this bearish action. But either way, just when I look at a chart and I see clearly not anywhere near as strong, I'm not the kind of person that's going to say, oh, we're undervalued, and the market's going to come to their senses, and it's going to be worth, it's going to have a bigger move from here. I'm the kind of person that says, I want momentum in my favor. I want to be on the side of the strongest name, so I'm going to be looking at those 2 sector leaders where we are clearly lagging here with the bullish action on the chart. EMC is another one where the bulls just can't get themselves together. We have the low of support down at 162 and then 152, and the bulls aren't really proving anything here. So same story. It may be undervalued, but if nobody's buying it and it's not going up, I don't want to put my money there to have it be stagnant and just sitting there in a downtrend still. So no confirmation of bullish reversal candlesticks. We have not seen 2 strong weeks in a row in a very long time, and the trend here is very clearly still bearish. And same thing, I need the exponential weekly resistances as support. On any time frame that you're looking at, if the exponential moving averages are support, the trend is very strong, and if they're resistance, the bears are in full control. So 5-minute, hourly, every time frame, I'm using these exponential moving averages, and if the bulls cannot get over them, I know that the bears are still in control, and that's the case for EMC on really both the daily and the weekly time frame. FIRE got its license, have a little double top at 138, and now we're pulling back, closing at the low of the day the past 2 days. So there's a bit of profit taking going on from that double top. Next support I'm looking down at after 129 is 126 and then 120. So a very clear resistance of 138 that has to break for these bulls to see any kind of further upside. Weekly time frame, again, there's not much information to be looking at here as we did just get this ticker change. But on the daily time frame, very clearly 138 resistance, 120 support. Same thing, I'm not really liking this name. Also, liquidity is an issue for me. If I'm playing with larger positions and if we hit a level that I want to exit, I want to have enough volume that I can comfortably get out here. And the dollar volume per day is definitely important, and it is higher. It is its highest in WEED and APH, where I look at FIRE here, and FIRE had, maybe $800,000, $900,000 traded. Certainly a decent amount. It's enough to be trading, but let's say I have, $100,000 and I want to exit if a certain level is broken. That's going to make, if I wanted to exit $100,000 worth of shares on FIRE in one day, that's going to put a dent, and I'm going to drive the price to the downside if I'm trying to exit. And that would not be the case with a name like WEED, which, sees $25 million traded on a solid volume day. So let's wrap it up here with HMMJ. And again, I do like the U.S. exposure for the seasonality aspect of things as we head into the fall. And I will be looking for potential entry here. So we have our higher low and higher high here as well. The must-hold support is 830. We've got resistance of 897, and then 935 stands out. The weekly time frame, not a ton of history here. We have not seen 2 green weeks in a row, not convincingly since we started trading here. Same thing, though, with the exponential resistances, trying to see the first starting signs of the bulls getting their feet, so to speak, getting their feet underneath them, and we need to see a higher low on this weekly time frame compared to 821 after this short-term bounce. So let's see a short-term bounce, our lower high set as we have been forming before, then pull back and form a higher low, and then try and change this trend. So the closer we get to, let's say, October, the more interested I'm going to be in HMMJ. And I actually might enter my WEED and APH positions before then and save off on HMMJ a little bit longer. We'll have to see how it all plays out. I will keep everybody updated just in terms of what I'm doing. By no means is it a suggestion as what you should do. It's just sharing what I'm doing, and maybe you can start to see some of the same things that I am. So I hope you have a good weekend. Thanks for tuning in.